Rock isn't dead. It's in flux.
Hi, everyone. I'm Britt with Rock and Flux, and I am joined today by Deb Demure of Drab Majesty. Deb, thank you for being here with me.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I've been a fan of your music for quite a while, and I'm really excited to get to talk to you about it. You probably don't remember this, but we did a written interview when I had actually first started this website back in like 2018. And at that point, I feel like Drab had really started to pick up steam and people were getting really interested. Can you kind of give me your thoughts and insight of how things have gone since then? And if you think that like it has changed the way you approach Drab Majesty at all as it's gotten more popular?
Nothing's really changed my approach because I still consider this kind of a bedroom project. It's just, yes, there's more touring. I guess the demands are more extreme. There's more personnel involved. But as far as like what I'm doing, I still have my head in the sand and I'm just working as I was 10 years ago when I started the project. That was the most extensive touring we did. I think 2018. We played somewhere in north of 120 shows or something one year. But yeah, it's just I'm still just trucking along, trying to write songs that I would want to listen to, and yeah, it's still pretty peaceful actually.
Well, that's good. I actually saw you all when you opened for Smashing Pumpkins when you were in Phoenix. I
Oh,
saw you all
cool. Oh, right.
Yeah, you guys were great. And, it is interesting. You really, have developed these characters, both like in your music videos and then when you perform live. How did you come up with Deb Demure, like, and the whole concept?
Well, I felt that the music that I was writing, or rather channeling at the time, was not really of myself. And I had just kind of started playing guitar seriously and felt like I was tapping into some stuff that I wasn't even ready to kind of do. And I needed to put some kind of, I would even listen back to some of these demos and I would kind of surprise myself. I had a kind of basic facility of acoustic guitar. But then when I started applying some finger picking styles to the electric guitar, these cool new possibilities happened when adding effects and layering and whatnot. And I just started to feel like, oh, wow, this is like kind of sounds cool. I started to kind of lose authorship and it felt more of like this kind of meditative experience working on the guitar. And what came out kind of, I wasn't claiming responsibility for it. And I thought, this would be interesting to kind of really kind of forge into what it would feel like to like embody an alter ego through the creation and performance of this project. And that's kind of just how that kind of character came to be. And it's always fun to be able to embody something else outside yourself when you're playing a live show.
I can understand that, yeah. And you started out actually as a drummer in another band before you started Drab, but you had been quoted as saying that you didn't feel like it was maybe, as harmonically fulfilling. And, in our last interview, you talked about how you started messing with the pedals on the guitar and stuff, just to what you were just saying. Do you still have that feeling about drumming now? Or do you still approach songs? Because, I mean, obviously, whether they're electronic or not, they're still included to some degree. So do you still have that feeling about drumming? And also, does it affect how you approach, like, the percussive elements of your music?
Absolutely. Drumming's still the most, I think, important rhythm in general, but drumming is one of the most important parts of the ensemble, I feel. And I do take pride in the programming of drums on my albums, and I'm still really into kind of building bespoke drum sounds through synthesis and whatnot. That's really important. So I kind of more into the programming aspect now rather than playing on the drum set. I think a lot of my drum set abilities are kind of shit the bed now. So I really have no interest in playing the drums, nor do I want to see how bad I am now. So I'm just kind of like, I'll let someone else do that. But I do like programming them.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me that you were talking about acoustic guitar too, because I feel like your new EP, especially songs like The Skin and the Glove, that has more, I think, acoustic guitar elements than maybe some of your other music has. Did you want to go back to that, or like how did that kind of happen?
No, I just was starting to write this new batch of songs with a 12-string acoustic, and that was a really inspiring instrument and kind of forging into a more like neo psych kind of path right now for this band. So it's kind of just an instrument that you find in that arrangement, and it's 12-string acoustic and a 6-string are pretty different. I feel that this one's also amplified and processed differently, so it's kind of almost doesn't even sound like an acoustic guitar the way like the traditional, nylon string or.
Right. So I ask pretty much everyone who comes on the show this question, and I want to ask you as well. If someone who's listening to this has maybe never heard of Drab Majesty or any of your music, and they ask you, what song should I listen to first? What song do you think you would suggest to them?
I would probably suggest Oxytocin or maybe Too Soon to Tell. Either one of those. I don't sing on Oxytocin, but I think it's a good sonic kind of representation of the band for sure.
Okay. Well, let's listen to a clip of it.
Okay.
So what is it about, that song? I know you just kind of said it, you feel like sonically it pretty much captures what you all are doing. Are there any other elements of that you think would make it a good place to start? Or conversely, why would Too Soon to Tell be another place that they should start listening?
I don't know. I think they're just good tunes. I don't know. It's just it's hard to talk about my music and why it's good or something like that. It's
Awkward.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't really listen to any of this music like after it's released. So I think it'd be better to ask like a Drab fan what the best song to get into is.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes it is different than what like the band or the artist thinks. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So you released a newer song, Vanity, in June, and you had Rachel Goswell from the band Slow Dive on it. How did you become a fan of hers, and how did you end up working together?
Well, I mean, I've been listening to Slow Dive for 15 years, 20 years maybe, since high school. Jeez. So it's always been a band and like in constant rotation. And, internet allows you to contact your heroes or at least have the option or opportunity to. And lucky for me, she had heard of the band. And, yeah, I just reached out to her, and I noticed she was like following the band account, so that always helps.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
And yeah, I just asked her if she would be interested in working on a song together, and this was all through COVID, and
Oh wow. Okay.
she was totally keen on it, and it worked out great,
Yeah,
pretty
it's great.
smooth.
Turned out really well with her vocals and on it too. I think that's pretty cool. Who would you say some of your so I know you're a fan of hers, but who like what other people or bands have influenced you over the years?
Um, I mean, in the some kind of adjacent worlds, I'm a huge fan of Chrome, SF psych punk band. Wire absolutely has always been an influence. Felt, Reese Banks guitar playing. I mentioned this before. Yeah, I really like Jerudi Collin, Vinnie Riley. Yeah, a lot of shit. Harold Budd, Boards of Canada.
Did you grow up like listening to a lot of like the new wave type of music? Because I feel like Drab Majesty has a lot of those elements in it. Like, does that play into it at all or no?
I mean, I'm a child of the '80s, and growing up for like actually like attuning my ear in the '90s. You're hearing on the radio everywhere kind of residual vestiges of '80s music. I mean, you still do. You could still hear Tears for Fears in like an auto body like mechanic shop just blast. You know, it's still there, but it was really really dense growing up as a kid. Aside from obviously '90s alt stuff, but I just felt like my first glimpses of music on the radio were these '80s hits that have stood the test of time. So those sounds and that kind of sound palette were yeah, definitely influenced me, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of that as well. I don't know why, it's something about it. I tend to gravitate to a lot of, like, music that has those elements to it. And I feel like today there are a lot of bands that are inspired by that and very, heavy with, like, synthesizers and all those elements. And it's, for me, interesting to see because as I've, progressed with this podcast, it also like bleeds over, I feel like, with each other. So I've noticed that like a lot of these bands that are kind of in this whole world do remixes for each other or like, collaborate on different stuff. And even I've seen Drab Majesty has done that too with bands like, Sacred Skin or the KVB. What makes you end up working with another band or artist like that to do a remix?
Money. Just kidding. No, I'm usually I'm friends with them. I like the tune. Yeah, COVID was kind of different because I had more time and I was kind of not totally focusing on making an album. It was more like, I have all this time. I would like to use some of my machines in different ways or test the limits of yeah, a new piece of gear, whatever, different recording techniques. So it's like cool. It's a fun way to kind of work. I mean, at least someone that uses like hardware and stuff, and you're always kind of learning how to get the most out of it. And I'm like obsessed with that stuff. And yeah, I'm just like, okay, I'll try this new technique. I'll try to run this thing into this and see what it does, and just try to make new sounds. And since it's not my tune,
Yeah.
I can kind of fuck with it a little bit, and it's not the stakes are low, and yeah, remixes are just like they're fun. They're just fun. That's about it.
Have you heard any songs that you would be interested in doing a remix of lately, or are you kind of not focusing on that since you have new stuff coming out?
Yeah, I really have no idea what's out in the world of music right now. But if someone asks me, "Hey, I have this album, I'd love for you to remix," I will definitely listen to the tune and be like, "I think this would be a good one." Or if someone's just like, "This song needs to be remixed," chances are, if we're friends and the tune's good, I'd be happy to take a crack at it. It is fun. It's really fun.
That's cool. It's fun as a listener too, because it's interesting to hear it become such a different song from the original, and especially when it's like two bands that you like both of them. I think it's really interesting and cool to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
So your new EP, An Object in Motion, is coming out on the 25th of this month. For people who are fans of Drab Majesty, what would you tell them to expect from it? And do you want to give anybody any like information about how it was recorded or the songwriting on it?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a departure from what people are used to. It was initially the tunes or the foundation of of the music was initially built as a completely instrumental kind of ambient guitar album that I wasn't even planning to release as Drab Majesty, as something more like solo or something else. And it was actually those songs were recorded at this space, I would say written at where I am right now, 2 years ago in this cabin in Oregon. But yeah, it was those demos or whatever were taken back to Ben Greenberg, uh, engineer producer I worked with in New York, and we kind of ended up fleshing it out into a Drab record. But it's not an LP; it's an EP. There's probably going to be a lot of people that are going to go, "Oh my god, it's 4 songs! Geez, I thought this is like the new album." But it's like, no, it's just like, I mean, yeah, it's like 35 minutes long, but there's also a 17-minute long song that has no singing on it. So get ready for that. Get ready to be disappointed.
Are you doing that on purpose just to like toy with people?
No, hell no. I genuinely like. I stand by everything I put out. Yeah, I just know. I mean, I'm just like I don't care if you want like a record 10 banger tracks. Like, okay, that's cool. Me too. But that'll come later. But this is more of a this is like put this on, go take a walk kind of thing, or like go on a hike, or just sit in silence, take some ketamine nasal spray, or whatever you do.
But you did say that you're in the same space that you recorded this in, so I'm assuming that, you're writing right now. Does that mean
Yes.
people can expect that there will be follow-up music to this?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. As long as I'm on this planet, there for sure will be follow up music. Yeah. Totally. I mean, this is what's we're composing now, in like with the intent of working on a new album for sure.
So what about that area? Like, why do you go there to write? What about it do you
Ah,
like?
yeah, it's really hard to put into words, but it's so removed. It's very close to the ocean, but it's also in the thicket of the forest. There's no neighbors. It's an A-frame house, so the architecture is just incredible. There's just such limited amount of things you can do. So, this is like, yes, due to technology, people can still get a hold, and I can still carry on the things I need to do. But I can't show up for anything anywhere else other than here, and I tend to work really well in those confines.
Because you are from LA, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I can understand how you may need to like unplug from there because that's drastically different.
It's hot and it's loud and it's chaotic and there's too many people there demanding, not demanding, rather that's extreme, but that are requiring my time sometimes, so it feels like, so it's really hard to snap away from that. Even if you turn your phone off and all that, it's still, there's this kind of pulling.
It's right outside the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you have any plans to play any live shows after this is released or do any touring, or are you focused really on writing right now?
We're going to Europe in October, November. So I guess that's essentially in celebration of the release, kind of. There, yeah, we might do a song off the EP, but yeah. I mean, we'll be working on, we'll be planning something. But this is, yeah, we are going to Europe, so those are shows after the release of it.
How do you prepare your live show? I know you obviously have the whole character aspect of it, but then it's the lights and everything else. So, like, is there anything how do you plan for that and how do you prepare for it?
Mm. Well, we kind of go over the material, in like a room. Well, we like go to the hotel before the gig, and we plug our instruments into the TV and the alarm clock. Sometimes, I'm serious, and we almost never rehearse. We stay in the hotel the night before. We'll bring like a Bluetooth speaker, like a sound bar or whatever, and then we'll plug the keyboard into that, and I'll just plug like the guitars like into the audio input of the TV in the room, and then maybe just vocals are just sung in the room, and then we just play in the hotel room, and then people can kind of hear it in the hallway, and it's weird.
So if any fans want to hear it before they go to the show, they should
Yes,
try to
it's
book where you all are staying.
people have knocked on the door. Yes, it's happening.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Do you feel so? I mean, and because like you do have a lot of obviously electronic elements to your live show, have you ever had any issues with that? And like, how have you dealt with them?
Yeah, stuff's broken for sure. It's always somehow manages to come together, or if it just actually can't, it's just we'll have to borrow something. We fried a brand new synthesizer in Russia on our first show of tour. The thing like essentially caught on fire due to some faulty wiring. So that was gone. Like there was no way that was coming back. So we had to borrow something that was way more inferior. It always comes together, or if it doesn't, the show just kind of sucks, and then it just happens, life goes on.
You have been releasing your and on
Deus record.
how is working on that label? They have a lot of different bands that I think are great, but do you find that like maybe you're working with them because they handle things differently since they're independent? How do you feel about, working with them?
They're awesome. They're some of my best friends that I've really grown to love, both Ryan and Gibby. It's great. I mean, they're 100% trusting in the music they sign. They never have any comments about the music. If you like it, then they're like, okay, we'll put it out. They're not in the business of creatively controlling anything. Maybe a suggestion on some design, or this photo might be better than this, like something like kind of mellow like that. But they always take care of me, and they're just lovely people. I've just had no issue with working with them. I mean, that's why I've been on the label for close to 8 years now.
Right. I mean, it's been it's a relationship that's had longevity. So that's why I was curious to see how that.
Yeah. As you can imagine, I'm not like bound to like a 20-year contract or something that I'm just dying over here trying to like pump garbage out to fulfill. No, there's a very strong bond I have with Ryan and Gibby, and there's a deep level of trust, and it's great. Yeah, and they're just funny, cool people, and yeah, I love them very much. Can't say a negative thing about them.
Well, especially when you're working with a label that's like such a difference to have too. So that's awesome. So I this is another common question that I ask people because I'm just curious of people's opinions on it. There's that whole saying like rock is dead, and the name of this podcast is Rock and Flux, but I don't necessarily think it's like rock, so to speak, the way some people might think it is. But I do want to ask you, like, do you think rock is dead, and what do you think of that phrase and even really that term? Because I think it's a lot more broad than some people may think, and I also don't think it's dead. But I'd be curious, what your thoughts are.
I've actually never heard that term. I've heard jazz is dead. I hear that one a lot, but rock, I don't know. No, I don't think rock is dead at all. But also like what in like in like cock rock, or like
No, like
like
they
that
mean
kind of.
in general, like I guess like as a genre, which to me it's like rock is so broad anyway as a genre. There's so many different like niches in it and facets of it. But I guess they say, as a genre overall, it's dead because people, hip hop and other stuff more.
I don't know. I don't think anything. I don't know what makes the genre alive either. I think just there's like you could say that a lot of things are dead. Then maybe because rock isn't like the front and center in culture now. Is that why? But
I guess, yeah.
I don't know what would determine like what's the defining features of a genre that's been kind of cast away. What would make it dead now? I don't know. I don't find it to be dead. I think it's alive and well.
Me too.
People love rock. Like,
I mean, I think so. I personally do, but it's funny because like, the other thing that comes up is like how people listen to music, because obviously streaming is huge. That's how I found your music, was on Spotify, and it's great, but like I also like listening to music on other formats too, whether it's vinyl or even still a CD sometimes. I had, some people say like, well, CDs are coming back because the quality of the audio and people want to collect them and all that kind of stuff. And also it's harder for bands to press vinyl nowadays because there's such a demand for it.
yeah, totally.
So I did like a TikTok, which I hate TikTok, but I did one and I was like, oh, CDs are coming back. And it was funny to see like younger kids arguing with each other on whether or not they were. Some were saying, yeah, they are. And others were like, absolutely not. You're crazy. It's
People
just
who've
really
never bought a
interesting.
CD before, they're
I
arguing if
know.
it's coming back or not.
Yeah, I know.
Surreal.
I know.
Yeah. Well, those, I mean, yeah. Are those the people also saying rock is dead?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them really, yeah, they can just go talk about how dead rock is on their own somewhere else. They'll, well, you know what? And if it dies, it's going to come back too. So
Well, that's true.
everything, yeah, just, it's
Cyclical.
nothing is, yeah. I hear the jazz is dead more. That's the one I hear a lot.
Yeah,
And I
guess
kind of
jazz
agree,
was
sort
always
of.
kind of dead to me. So
Oh, damn. Okay.
yeah. I mean, I've never been I can't listen to scatting. Like, I just can't do it.
Oh no, I was kind of not referring to scatting
Oh, okay. Okay.
under the blanket of jazz.
I got it. Okay.
Scatting, isn't that just more like
It's like
just
some people do it on
it's like,
top of jazz.
oh, I thought you meant like defecating on someone's
Oh,
chest
no,
or
no, no, no,
something.
no.
Scat porn. Oh, my
No, when they
bad.
do like the beep
I
up.
know. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's unlistenable. But no offense to any scatters out there. I'm sure you're good people, but can't get with the genre. Yeah.
No, definitely not. Well, thank you for talking to me today. It's been really, really nice to talk with you. Do you have any last comments or thoughts that you would want to share with our listeners? I do know that I have quite a few Drab Majesty fans that are followers and listeners of this. So now is your time to tell them what you think.
I'm not a person of many words. I mean, sometimes I am, but I also, you don't have to be a person of many words. I think this is actually my message to the people of less words.
Oh, okay.
I'm not justifying for myself. I just think, hey, if you make music and you enjoy making music, if anyone's out there making music that's influenced by the stuff that I do, I think it's just make sure you continue to do it purely from a place of enjoyment and not a place to kind of be part of any club or kind of be of the time or to get some kind of recognition or anything like that. I think music needs to be and should be made only from a place of the utmost sincerity, because then if you're not doing that, you're making a product, you're marketing, you're designing something for people to consume based on what you know people like. And we don't want that in art. We want complete, unmitigated, just creative flow and honesty in work. So I would encourage anyone that's thinking about doing music or having the thought of let's give this a go. Just don't do anything that it's good to be influenced by your peers and all that, but like this is not a cool kids club that you kind of sneak your way into. This needs to be this is an honesty club, and this is an authenticity club. And if you're making music from the heart, then that's awesome. And we want more of that. So just stay in that space and don't compromise anything.
And that is what rock and roll is all about right there, because it's really about staying true to yourself, in my opinion. So
I agree. Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
That's well said, and a good way to end this conversation. So thank you so much, Deb, for talking to me today. It's been great.
My pleasure, Britt. Thank you.